Hi everyone, it's Barbara and welcome back to my channel. Today I am creating some high-end Kirkland dupes using mostly items from Dollar Tree. Let's go ahead and get started on our very first project. I found this gorgeous eucalyptus and heather beaded wreath on Kirkland's website for $44.99. I think I can make this for a lot less. Starting off with a wire clothes hanger, I'm going to use my husband's very sharp wire cutters to cut the hook off at the top on each side. Once I have that removed, I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit right there on the outside edges before I start forming this into the shape of a circle. And I'm just going to work with this until I get it pretty round and to the size that I want it to be. Once I have that shaped up, I will take the end pieces and I am going to use my pliers to create a curve right there at one of the ends so that when I apply my beads, they won't slip off of the other end. I'm using two different size beads and I get these from Amazon, which I have linked in my Amazon store in my description box if you are interested. I know Dollar Tree does have beads sometimes. I am never lucky enough to find those. So that is why I like to get mine from Amazon. Now I can straighten that back up now that I know my beads aren't going to come off that end so that I can take these two end pieces and twist them around one another. Now this does take a little bit of work because this is a pretty heavy duty clothes wire hanger. So I will twist that around until I get those ends in place, and then I'm going to take my pliers and bend it over in the shape of a loop to keep each end closed. And once I have that bent over, I'll take the pliers and squeeze it together to close it off. And this is going to keep it together so that the wire hanger doesn't come apart, but also prevent you from poking yourself when you're touching it. I wrapped all of the exposed wire with some floral tape. I did find this floral tape at Dollar Tree, and you have to pull it a little bit to make it tacky so that it will stick. Once I have that in place, I'm just going to work with the shape to make sure that I have it in a nice circle form. Then add a bead of hot glue at the end of each of the beads so that they will stay in place and not move around. Using this pick that I found at Dollar General last year around Christmas time, I'm going to remove the berries and just use two of the stems from this bundle. Facing the stems towards each other, I'm going to form the shape of the circle, kind of just bending the stems around, letting them overlap in the middle, and then I can use the floral tape to attach it to the wreath form right in the middle, as well as the ends where the stem extends over towards the bead. I'll do that on the right-hand side as well as the left-hand side. This is going to keep those stems down, but also keep everything in place. I will also be using some of the berries off of this bouquet from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut those stems off, and I just wanted to use the berries and that greenery piece. And this beautiful, gorgeous pick came from Hobby Lobby when it was on sale. I think I paid around $5 for it. And I'm only going to use two of those. So I just cut that off of the bundle and fed that through the leaves on each end. And then I can secure the end pieces down with the floral tape. I'll go in and add the berries the exact same way I did with the leaves, just by overlapping them and then taping it down in the middle and going back in and taping some of those ends down. To create a bow, I'm using some of Dollar Tree's burlap ribbon, and I am not the best bow maker, but I just created the best way I know how, and that was just to do the loops and then fold them over in the opposite direction. And I created 3 loops on each side and left enough for 2 tails, then gather the middle section in really tightly and take a piece of floral wire to wrap that around the center and then twist that around several times to make sure that the bow is going to stay in place and that the floral wire is pretty tight. I will dovetail both of the ends and then I can attach it to my wreath form right in that middle section to cover up where all of the florals meet. And I will use the extra floral wire to attach it, cut that end off, and then I like to push it down to make sure it doesn't poke anything or poke the wall or your finger or anything, and fluff that bow out nice and pretty. And I think I did a pretty good job. Mine was less than $2 and Kirkland's was $44.99. Let me know what you think. I think this wreath turned out really gorgeous. I love the way this looks, and I hope you guys do too. Today's video is part of a collaboration with my dear friend Adrian at Full-Time DIY Mommy. She is an amazing crafter. She creates Dollar Tree DIYs, farmhouse, thrift flips. She is very talented. I will have a link to her video in my description box below. I hope that you will go over and show her some love and let her know that I sent you. If you're coming over from Adrian's channel or you're new to my channel and you are enjoying today's DIYs, I would love for you to click that subscribe button, the notification bell, and also visit me on my Instagram, my website for free printables, and my Pinterest board. Now, project number 2, I saw this gorgeous, beautiful harvest plaque for $14.99. Now, I'm not even sure we can call this a DIY. It is so simple. But I wanted to show you a way that you could use some of the Dollar Tree calendars to really make them look high-end. I'm removing the backing, but making sure that I keep that styrofoam and the white piece in the front. And I'm going to use this beautiful calendar from Dollar Tree. It has some really gorgeous, beautiful sayings on the back. I'm just going to cut the November one out that says thankful and blessed. And then the piece insert that came in the picture frame is pretty sturdy. It's not a flimsy piece of paper, so I will keep that as my backing. I just held that up to the picture since the calendar piece is larger. I wanted to make sure that I centered that up and that everything's going to be centered when I put it back together. And instead of gluing anything down, I'm just going to tape this to the piece so that I can change this out throughout the seasons. Place it back into the picture frame, put your backing on, and it is as simple as that, but it turned out really gorgeous. I love this print from the calendar. Mine, again, less than $2. Kirkland's $14.99. I think it turned out beautiful. What do you guys think? I love the colors in the frame, and then the colors popping out of that picture is just simply gorgeous. Now, for project number 3, we're going to create this lantern. Kirkland's had an orange and eucalyptus pre-lit LED metal lantern for $59.99. Starting off with 2 of these Dollar Tree signs. They measure about 5 inches by 5 inches. Then we're going to use 4 of these 3/8 inch by 12 inch dowels. And I believe this pack came from Walmart. I'm going to apply E6000 to the bottom side portion and then the bottom, and then add a little bit of hot glue and press that into the corner of one of the signs. I'm going to repeat that for all 4 corners. You just want to make sure that you try to keep them as straight as possible and really push it down in the bottom to make sure that glue sets. Then we can add the E6000 on the tops and the outside corners of the dowels, and then add our hot glue. And I try to make sure I don't mix the E6000 with the hot glue because it doesn't tend to work that well if you do. Then place the other sign on top of that. I flip it over to make sure all my corners are pushed in tightly. For the top handle, I'm going to use one of the book rings from Dollar Tree, and I just found the center at the top of the sign. And I'm going to add a really good amount of E6000 and set the bottom part of the book ring that doesn't open down into that E6000, and then let that set up. So it's going to take a few minutes, like maybe I waited about 30-40 minutes to let that set up. And I also added a little bit of hot glue just to make sure it stayed in place. Because this is paper, I'm going to rough it up just a little bit with a fine grit sandpaper, and that's also going to get those glue strings off. Take this outside, and I am going to give this one good solid coat of Krylon Fusion all-in-one spray paint in the color Matte Black. Make sure you get down in the bottom of the box and you just get all of the areas. Now I'm doing this on an old picnic table, so I was able to put the bookmark or the book ring down in between the slats to be able to paint the bottom of this as well as the underneath of the top of the sign. And it turned out simply gorgeous. Even my husband thought it was metal. He couldn't believe it was just signs and wooden dowels. I'm going to use some of those same green leaves that we used in project number 1. And then off of this Dollar Tree bouquet or the autumn leaf bouquet from Dollar Tree, I'm going to remove the berries and then use some of these gorgeous yellow and orange filler flowers from Dollar Tree. Using hot glue, I'm going to take those leaves and attach them to the back part of the dowel at the very bottom, and then move those leaves a little bit more towards the front and glue them down a little bit on the sign itself so that they look like they're growing from the bottom of the box. I did that for all 4 dowels and applied some at the top as well. I ended up placing about 3 leaves on each side, and then I'll take an extra of the 2 leaves and sort of place that towards the back. And then I can take some of those berries and lift up one of the leaves and glue that down so that it kind of like is flowing up under the leaf, if that makes sense. And I'll glue some berries at the other side and then a few down in the bottom, kind of making sure that they are coming outside so that you can see them from the top part of the sign. Add a few of those flowers, and to cover up the stems, I'm going to take one of those extra leaves and tuck the bottom part of the stem under the other ones, and then I laid the leaf over top of the stems we glued down. Now I'm using a regular LED candle light, and although I think it's very beautiful without the bow, I wanted to complete this Kirkland dupe by creating a bow just like the Kirkland's piece had, and I created a very simple bow using some Dollar Tree burlap ribbon and attached that with some floral wire in the center, dovetail the ends, and then I can add this to the top of the lantern with the floral wire right there at that book ring. You'll have to let me know if you guys like it better with or without the bow. So let's see how I did. My dupe was less than $5, Kirkland's piece $59.99. I think I did pretty good. I love how this lantern turned out. It is so beautiful. Again, you guys, let me know if you like it better with or without the bow. If you have a favorite in today's video, please let me know in the comments down below. I always love to know which one is your favorite. Please make sure to go over and check out Adrian's video in my description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.